I want to tell you about this guy who called me. It's about 3 years ago. The guy's name was Rick Rachel from a company called Square Oaks Home Improvement. Small company. The guy didn't really have a plan. Guy sold windows in Appleton, Wisconsin. He was doing about $500,000 a year in annual sales. $500,000. Probably one of the smallest companies that I've ever seriously talked to. So he wanted to figure out, how do I grow my business, of course. So we talked about websites, SEO. That's what he originally was contacting me about, is, hey, I think I want to get a new website and do some SEO. But he didn't really have enough budget, and it was going to take too long to get where he's trying to go. It just didn't seem like the right first step for him. Again, he needed sales now, so I thought, well, let's talk about radio. Maybe that's going to work for him. He was in a small town, Appleton, Wisconsin, and I just had this feeling that because the audience size is relatively small there, that if he had a budget of $5,000, we'd be able to do some pretty good damage. So I asked him, can you commit to spending $5,000 a month? If you do, you'll need to commit for 6 months. And I thought this was a big ask. That's $30,000. What is that, like 8% of annual revenues or something like that? But only in a 6-month period of time. Plus, we were going to charge him, I think our normal fee was minimum was $3,000, but I only charged him $2,500 because I felt sorry for him. And he said, yeah, I can do that. I'm capitalized. I have some money. It wasn't going to come out of cash flow. He says, I can do this. I'll commit to it. I said, great. So we started researching the market. We found out that sure enough, we could do some pretty good damage for $5,000. But we were going to need a great angle, a real strong hook. And as I talked to him about his identity, and you know what identity is, right? It's communicating with power, precision, and passion, who you are, how you're different, why you're better, what people can expect when they do business with you. I found out that his backstory was going to provide great hook, a great identity foundation to build on. So here was his backstory. He used to work for one of the big companies in Wisconsin that got bought out by private equity. And there's a couple of them. You can just do a little bit of poking around on the internet. You'll figure out who I'm talking about. But long story short, the guy got fired after private equity took over because they didn't like his attitude, because he wouldn't fall into line on their sales protocols, because this is what he told me. I don't really know. He said he felt like they were dishonest. He felt like they were overpriced. He felt like their quality wasn't that good and that the customer experience wasn't good. Again, after the private equity guys came in, and you know what they tend to do. They tend to, suck the life out of these companies. So he got fired and he started his own company with basically the same products, but he had better prices and he had better service. Okay. So that was his identity. And as a result of that, I said, look, man, if we create ads and we go hard in the paint against these private equity guys, it's probably going to work. You got to tell me if you're okay with that, because it's going to be pretty blatant. And he said, look, I'll be honest with you. I can't stand those guys. I don't really mind saying it. We're going to call anybody out by name. We weren't going to lie or, suggest things that weren't true. We were just going to tell the story. And he said, yeah, let's do it. So I sat down, I wrote these ads, we put them together, recorded them, and we put these on the air. I'm going to actually play you 6 ads in a row. So this is going to take a minute a piece, roughly 6. So I want you to listen to these so you get a good idea of how this identity plays out going against private equity. Now, before I play you the ads, I want you to understand that if you're in a private equity owned company, that's fine. I don't care. I'm an attorney. My job is to get you off the hook no matter where the bodies are buried, no matter what it is you do, no matter what your strengths or weaknesses are. And in this particular case, because of his background and his sort of origin story, it made a really nice story that we could tell on the radio. So I'm going to play 2 ads and then I'm going to stop and make some commentary. The first 2 go really, really strong on this very simple concept of private equity versus small company. The first one's called I'm From Here, and the second one is called Smaller Company, Smaller Price. So take a listen to these 2. They're going to run back to back.
Would you rather buy replacement windows from a company owned by a big East Coast private equity firm, or from a local veteran-owned company right here in the Fox Valley? My name is Rick Rachel. I'm the owner of Square Oaks Home Improvement. We live and work right here in the Fox Valley. We use the same or better quality windows as the big guys you see and hear everywhere. But you'll have a better experience and pay less with Square Oaks. Most of the big companies in the area have been bought by private equity firms who raise prices, cut costs, and eliminate customer service. To them, it's all about the numbers. To us, it's all about you, our customer. That's why we never use high-pressure sales tactics or pricing games. We slow down to install the windows right, and our prices are generally 20 to 50% less. Better quality, better experience, and better prices. Go to squareoaks.com to learn more and to schedule an appointment. That's squareoaks.com. Rick Rachel here from Square Oaks Home Improvement. Did you know that most of the big replacement window companies in the area are owned by East Coast private equity firms? They have big quotas to make big sales at big prices so that their big bosses on the East Coast can earn big fat profits. Square Oaks is owned by me, Rick Rachel, a disabled vet living right here in the Fox Valley. We use the highest quality windows, we slow down to install them right, and we back them up with the best warranties in the business. And I don't have any East Coast bosses breathing down my neck to hit those big quotas so they can make their big profits. We sell the same or better quality windows for 20 to 50% less than they do. That's money that stays in your pocket. It's really simple. Better quality, better experience, and better prices. Go to squareoaks.com to learn more and to schedule an appointment. That's squareoaks.com.
Okay, so then after we ran those ads, let me say that different. While we're running those ads, so we're running at any given time 2 or 3 or 4 ads in rotation so that people hear all of them over the course of a week or a month or a few months. And then we rotate other similar ads in. So we were running, let's say, one of those ads for the first 2 or 3 months, and then we rotated to the second ad. Meanwhile, we would run paired with it, not one, a couple of these ads. So the next one is called Prepared for Battle, and then Manipulation Training, where we talk about the sales aggressiveness of these competitors. So take a listen to these two, and then I'm going to stop, make some commentary, and then we're going to go to the last two. So let's take a listen.
Rick Rachel here from Square Oaks Home Improvement. Did you know that when you call most window companies, they show up prepared for battle with you? I know, because I used to work for one of those big private equity-owned companies you see and hear everywhere. They use a 10-step selling process that's drilled into their sales team in week-long training boot camps. They learn manipulation skills, and their mentality is set them up and knock them down. I hated treating people like that, so I resisted, and they fired me because I wasn't tough enough on the customers. We use as good or better quality windows as the big pushy guys, and we treat people with respect. No pricing games, no sales tricks, and our prices are generally 20 to 50% less. Better quality, better experience, and better prices. Go to squareoaks.com to learn more and to schedule an appointment. That's squareoaks.com. Rick Rachel here from Square Oaks Home Improvement. Let me teach you how some of the biggest window companies in town manipulate you into buying their overpriced windows. It's all about getting the agreement and then using it against you. For example, they'll talk to you about energy efficiency and then ask, is energy efficiency important to you? Of course you say yes. Then they say, would you agree our windows are energy efficient? Again, you say yes. Then they do that 10 more times. When they finally ask you to buy, if you hesitate or say no, they'll say, but I thought you said energy efficiency was important to you, right? And on and on. About half the people just crack. They get talked into buying. Not at Square Oaks. We show you the window, answer your questions, and then step back and let you decide. It's all about respect, not manipulation. Better quality, better experience, and better prices. Go to squareoaks.com to learn more and to schedule an appointment. That's squareoaks.com.
Okay, so now you're getting an idea. First, we've got the big private equity thing. Then we've got the, hey, you're going to get the crap beat out of you by the sales guy thing. And then one of the other things that Rick told me that the private equity companies were not good at is just treating people right and being kind of human to them. So we created a couple of ads to show how his company, Square Oaks, treats people better. So let's listen to these two. The first one is called It Takes Us Longer to Install. And then the second one is Glass Breakage Warranty. So let's listen to these.
Does it matter how long it takes a crew to install your new replacement windows? Actually, it does. This is Rick Rachel from Square Oaks Home Improvement. If your amazing new windows are not installed properly, they're not going to keep your home warm and your energy bills down. That's why we pay our installers extra to slow down and do the job right. On average, it takes our crews about 2 hours to install each window, almost twice as long as the other guys. Why? Because the measurements have to be exact, the flashing has to be precisely bent, the spray insulation has to fully cure, and the caulk has to be evenly applied. It just takes time. Other companies pay their installers by the window, so they rush from job to job to maximize their pay. We pay our installers to slow down and do it right. Don't risk it. Go with Square Oaks Home Improvement. Better quality, better experience, and better prices. Go to squareoaks.com to learn more and to schedule an appointment. That's squareoaks.com. Rick Rachel here from Square Oaks Home Improvement, and I'm here to announce our unlimited glass breakage warranty. That means if your new windows ever break for any reason, we will replace the glass 100% for free. If a kid throws a ball through the window, we'll fix it for free. If a rock gets thrown from your lawnmower through your window, we'll fix it for free. It doesn't matter how or why it breaks, we'll fix it for free. No trip charge, no fine print, no loopholes. Just 100% free. It's all part of our exclusive double lifetime guarantee, which means your windows are covered forever, and then some. Do you think the big window companies that are owned by East Coast private equity firms offer you this kind of peace of mind? Of course not. Only Square Oaks Home Improvement does. Better quality, better experience, and better prices. Go to squareoaks.com to learn more and to schedule an appointment. That's squareoaks.com.
Now, I want to review with you the definition of identity. Identity is communicating with power, precision, and passion who you are, how you're different, why you're better, and what people can expect when they do business with you. Can you see how those 6 ads are a fantastic, full of passion, precision, power, right? It's not like he's standing on the rooftop shouting and going insane. He's very soft-spoken. It's not an in-your-face kind of a tone, but the message is loud and clear, okay? And the long story short, these ads worked like crazy. People love them. And within about 2 years, this little $500,000 per year company grew to about $5 million and expanded up into the Green Bay market. Now, they were already servicing Green Bay, but we expanded the radio ads up there. We ended up raising his budget by a substantial amount, and everything was going great for 2 years. And then one day he called me, fired us. Actually, he emailed me. And the reason he fired our company is because he wanted to take it in-house. He wanted to save a little bit of money. I don't know. Maybe he thought he could use those ads or write some different ones. I don't know. I thought that was pretty stupid. But nevertheless, that's what happened. It worked. And the point of all of this is I want you to know that if you want to, you can compete against private equity held companies by just going straight at them. I've got plenty of experience with private equity. You might have heard me talk about Horizon Services on some of my other videos. Took them from $44 million to $150 million in 6 years from 2011 to 2017. That growth was built on identity and based on just tons of exposure. You're going to want to watch my Everywhere video if you haven't seen that yet. I talk about it in detail. Then they started prepping to sell the company, and they hired a bunch of corporate type people to head up all the departments, including marketing. And I ended up quitting and or getting fired. It was kind of mutual after about 6 months because I couldn't stand the creative direction. Everything that they were doing was generic. It was boring. It was very corporate-y. There was no identity, no storytelling. They just stripped everything down to what I call menu board style advertising, which is, hey, we have this and here's the price. We have this. You know, do you need a tune-up? Do you need a repair? Do you need a new system? Here's the prices. And everything was just driven on prices and offers in an attempt to get the phone to ring right now. They mistakenly thought, as private equity is wont to do, that the key to getting the phone to ring is to make a really good deal. Screw identity, it doesn't matter according to them. So they kind of ripped the heart and soul out of the company, and the very things that made them successful were stripped away. And I've seen this happen again and again with all kinds of companies that are brought by private equity, but that's not, I don't want to get into too much detail, but suffice it to say that's true. So now let's enter into this story, Bay State Bath. Now earlier this year, took on a new client, Bay State Bath. The owner, Jennifer, had previously been a rebath dealer, which didn't end well, and for many reasons that aren't important for this video, but she started her own business and she's very successful to the tune of over $20 million in revenue. Very, very successful company. Here's how we ended up doing business with her. She started to see a decline in her leads and sales in the early part of this year. And so she came to, I think it was Fast Remodeler. I did a speech on OTT and she tracked me down afterward and said, hey, I need to learn about this OTT. I think this is something worth doing. We ended up working with her. And when we did, we ran the classic David versus Goliath. And this was a female version because she really likes to play up that she's a female-owned business, which is fantastic. Wait till you see these ads, you're going to understand why. So this is the same playbook that we use on Square Oaks, but this time it was, instead of radio, it was TV and OTT. And I want to show you these ads so that you get an idea of how it works in this setting. So the first ad I'm going to show you is simply called Private Equity. And let's show that one and then I'll make a comment.
Most local bathroom remodelers?
Not really local at all. Bought out by big, profit-driven Wall Street firms. Hi, I'm Jennifer Bilo, owner of Bay State Bath, a truly local company.
Right here on the South Shore.
We use better products
And work harder to satisfy you.
because we answer to you.
Not Wall Street.
Right now, save $1,500.
Or pay nothing for 18 months.
Bay State Bath, remodeling your bath in just one day.
Okay, so you can see the similarities with the square oaks. We're basically just taking a direct shot at them. The next spot is going to integrate something that they call Baby Richie. Well, what's Baby Richie? The answer is Jennifer's daughter has a baby whose name is Richie, and we put him in the TV commercials. And turns out people love babies in commercials, and especially when the baby is beating up big private equity. So I'm going to show you two ads actually. I'm going to show you Baby Richie, and then I'm going to show you one called Baby Boss. I'll show you these back to back. So let's play those two. Go.
We need more sales. We need more profits. Sell more bathrooms and ow.
Most bathroom remodeling companies in this area owned by Wall Street
Run by executives who don't even live here.
and driven by profits alone. Hi, I'm Jennifer Bilo, owner of Bay State Bath,
We're local, independent,
and we only answer to you.
And maybe Baby Richie.
Bay State Bath, remodeling your bath in just one day. Most bathroom companies are run by either big bosses who don't really care.
or baby bosses who mean well but lack experience.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Bilo, owner of Bay State Bath, with another option. A woman-owned local company that really cares.
So, big boss, baby boss,
Or me, the Bilo boss. Bay State Bath, remodeling your bath in just one day.
And what do you think the results were of these particular ads? Well, how about this? The biggest sales month in history in September after flailing just 3 months earlier in June. So look, the key to all of this is to get your message out there, to spend the money so that you're everywhere. Okay, that was a nod to my video called Everywhere. Look it up, it's in the description. But the idea here is very simple. If you're spending money everywhere and you've got a great message, it's going to work. Inevitably just works. If you're not spending the right money in the right places and you're not iterating enough and you're not investing enough and you're not everywhere enough, then it's not really necessarily going to work. But this is a good way to make it work. Now, here's the funny thing that's making me want to actually do this video today. I don't know if you've heard, but recently a company called Renovo filed for bankruptcy. They ceased operations. They were a direct competitor. One of these private equity owned companies that we're talking about in these commercials, they actually went out of business. The parent company, Renovo, filed bankruptcy, and there's 6 holding companies, one of them being Newpro up there in Boston, Jennifer's direct competitor. They all just went out of business. I mean, take a look at, here's their website the day after they went out of business. They sent everybody home. Like, these private equity companies, they have a vulnerability. Look, in some of my seminars that I've done on the topic of identity, I kind of make fun of family-owned business, like anybody really cares. But now, this is really the first time in history that family-owned really matters. It's not the only slant to take. There's plenty of other identity points that you can lean into, but this is a really good one. So maybe it'll work for you. If you need some help implementing it, send me an email, rich@level10contractor.com, or look us up on our website. And why don't you go forth and prosper? David can beat Goliath. David will beat Goliath. Yeah, let's make it happen.